Hello friends, looks like it's another video of my old stuff. This time we're looking at an Apex model AD-703 3-disc changer. It plays DVDs, VCDs, SuperVCDs, MP3s, AudioCDs, and, as an added extra bonus, karaoke. I bought it sometime in 2000 or 2001 and used it for a couple of years until it became rather selective in what it would and wouldn't play. It was replaced by an inexpensive Cyberhome DVD player, which likewise lasted a couple of years. But by that time I had built a home theater PC and no longer needed a separate disc player. The remote has plenty of functions, many of which I never even used. Now let's take a closer look at the front panel and the controls. On the left side we have the power switch, the track selector buttons, microphone inputs for the karaoke, and a level control for the mics and an echo control for the mics. Notice something odd about the track selector buttons? What's the deal with the +5 button? I've seen the +10 buttons on other equipment. I'm not real wild about them, but it's easy enough to use. But +5? On the right we have the standard transport controls: play, pause, stop, previous track, next track, and 2 controls for a repeat. It can do an A-B repeat or point-to-point repeat. If it's playing, press repeat, and that will mark point A. Let it play until you get to the part where you want it to repeat or go back to A, and press return, and that will set point B, and then it will infinitely loop between those 2 points. Disc exchange allows you to change discs while a disc is playing. When you press this button, the drawer will open and you can swap out the 2 discs that will be in the front. You press disc exchange again and the drawer will close. Disc skip simply skips on to the next disc, or if you're loading or unloading, pressing disc skip will cause the carousel to turn. Also part of the transport control is this shuttle knob, which is a fast reverse and fast forward search. Here are the rear panel outputs. For audio it has analog and digital outputs. For video it has 2 composite outputs and an S-video output. Now it's time to power it up and load some discs. That wasn't the least bit annoying. Of course, you could interrupt that sequence any time just by pressing the open-close button. Okay, now it's brought number 1 here, number 3 here. If I press disc skip, it should rotate 1 position. There we go. Now I've got 1 and 2. The disc here. There. There. Now you can either press the open close button to close it, or you can directly select which disc to start by pressing that button. And to start the disc playing, you can press play on the front panel or the remote control. When you've had enough of that disk, you can press disk skip either on the front panel or the remote, and it should move on to the next disk. And notice that the button is blinking and showing which disc it's playing. If you allow it to play all the way through, once it's played, the button will go dark. And then it plays the next one, it will blink, and when that one's finished, that one goes dark, and so forth. One of the annoying things is that if you dim the display, the buttons are still lit. So it kind of spoils the whole dark home theater experience. Alright, we've seen about enough of that. Let's unload. Some of you may have heard of Apex Digital. They gained some little bit of notoriety when it was discovered that their model AD-600 had a hidden menu that allowed the user to disable the region ID and macrovision. That of course raises the question, does the AD-703 have that same hidden menu? Yes. Yes it does. Although more precisely it has an unlockable entry on the setup page. You put the code in only once and the loopholes entry will be unlocked forevermore. And apparently we should not be there. But in the loophole menu you will find settings for region codes. You can set it to whatever region code you want or bypass it altogether. You can override CSS and likewise override macrovision. There are two other entries here that I know not what they do. There you have it, the Apex AD-703 3-disc changer. Thanks for watching and see you next time.